I can see, yeah, and also just an announcement that this session is being recorded. So I can see the president from Rotary Club of Mombasa, Mr. Somji.
Yes.
Maybe you could just introduce yourself and say hi to the people, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you, President Jeff. My name is Mohammed Somji. I'm the president of Rotary Club of Mombasa, and I received the poster through our president's group, and I said, let me just come and listen to the speaker. Nice to be with you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay.
My classification is my classification is organic farmer.
Organic farming.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, karibu sana. We also have Rotarian Jennifer from Rotary Club of Nairobi East. Jennifer? Oh, I think she's zoomed out. Any other guest? Any other guest joining us, either on invitation or from another club? Okay, fine. If there are no other guests to be introduced, I'll quickly move in. Today, we're going to depart slightly from our normal procedure. So instead of going to the announcements, and this is because our guest speaker is a bit short of time. So instead of doing the announcements now, I will invite the guest speaker and then we can do the announcements later because she has to exit. She has another function. So I'll invite President-elect Muthoni to read the profile of our guest speaker today. P.E. Muthoni, floor is yours.
Thank you, President Jeff. Good evening, everyone.
Good
This
evening.
evening, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. Her name is Kavita Doshi. She's the director of Riverside Towers Limited. Kavita is a law student from the University of Cambridge who moved to Nairobi from London 7 years ago. In the UK, she worked as a strategy management consultant, specializing in retail, and went on to learn the ropes at London Town Group, working through the operational revenue management and reservation departments to expand her knowledge base. Upon reaching Kenya, Kavita launched her own startup in the catering business, specializing in baked goods and expanding it to 7 retail locations in a Nairobi-wide delivery service. Kavita then ventured into property development, developing 2 high-end villas in Runda. She is currently developing a Grade A commercial in Riverside Drive in Nairobi named The Cube, due to complete in September 2022. Kavita has a passion for philanthropy and launched a charitable foundation named Charity Connect in 2019, which carries out daily feeding programs across the city, channels donations to trusted vetted projects within slum areas, and manages and runs several sustainability projects aimed at providing economic empowerment and enhancing education opportunities for those in need. And with that, Karibu Kavita, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Jeff,
you.
Jeff, would you like me to introduce anything about myself first?
Actually, the floor is yours. I'll be moderating the session. But so maybe you could just, I could start you off. Kavita,
Sure.
by first of all, complimenting you on your excessively long CV. It's amazing you're able to do all those things. And I'm sure Muthoni had to edit a bit of it. So welcome once again. And just to start you off, let me ask you to just take us through how you started your journey towards Charity Connect. What is it all about, and what inspired you to start Charity Connect?
Sure. Thank you so much, Jeff. And I probably want to say, sorry, that profile is very work focused, so apologies for that. But yes, Charity Connect. Okay, so Charity Connect is my real passion. It almost is something that's spoken to me from within since the days when I was living in the UK. So I'm not from Kenya. I moved here 7 years ago, as Muthoni said, but I'd never been here before. I'd been here once before just to visit. And my husband is from Kenya, so it was a huge adventure for me. But philanthropy has been something that, something within me just keeps on sort of calling out. So in the UK, I did a lot of volunteer work. And then when I came here, I continued the volunteer work, in particular teaching at a school in Machakos. And when I had my young children, time was very tight between work and my kids. So actually going to Machakos was difficult. And I realized the importance of trust when you're giving. And I realized it was a real common worry between those that want to give and a common barrier for those that want to give. Not really sure where to give, not sure really where it's going, not sure how, how is the money going to be handled, how the donation's going to be handled. It seems like there was a bridge that was missing. And almost organically, I began just for myself putting together a network through the people that I met and worked with. And I started wanting to donate more rather than donating my time, as time was short, but donate items. And I really wasn't sure where to give. So I started off by doing a feeding program from home. So every Friday, I'd send the kids to grandma's house and I would just cook in our kitchen for around 200. And it was particularly for the refugees and the homeless that live very close to where I live in Nairobi. And every Friday I'd go and give out the food. And as people started hearing about it, more and more people wanted to give. And I realized I needed to formalize that sense of trust when you're giving and formalize the things I was learning. So I kind of thought about how to do this and came up with a vetting process, which really goes like, it's first about a relationship. So it's about a trusted reference. And then secondly, I go through registration documents of the NGO or foundation to really see what in an official sense they are. But the most important part is I spend a month on the ground, day in, day out with the initiative. And this is pre-COVID, so it's in 2019, and really understand exactly what they do, who the beneficiaries are, how do they account for donations, what is their mission, what's their sustainability plan. So all those really difficult questions that, after a week or so get quite hard to dodge. So I was that annoying person there every day saying, oh, what about this? What about this? And it really helped me to find some incredible grassroots initiatives doing amazing work and really understand what is needed within communities that I was certainly alien to, but would really have wanted to try and make a genuine difference to. So Charity Connect was born, which is really, in a nutshell, a network of trusted initiatives. And today we've grown to, as Muthoni was saying, we do a daily feeding program. And that's for the 200 that I mentioned. I still feed the same 200 and then have tried to move children onto education, etc. I believe in cumulative impact, nutritionally, but also just economically. If you know that you're going to have your next meal catered for, how can that help you move your life along? And apart from the feeding programs, we have partnerships with local farmers, and the excess produce is distributed to vetted beneficiaries around Nairobi. So the neediest of families, especially in particular the elderly, the disabled, single mothers, and households with multiple young children. So we have the local farmers link up for that. And then we also have a link up with Twiga, who give us all of their excess produce as well. So a lot of bananas, tomatoes, onions, potatoes that we also distribute. So on the food side, that happens, on a weekly basis. And then the real sort of deeper impact that I try and focus on is sustainability projects and empowerment projects. So as the feeding became more regular, I realized that actually where I can really have the deepest impact would be to be able to have projects which I can manage and I can oversee and I can troubleshoot from beginning to end to try and deliver a sense of empowerment to the community. So examples of these are, the first one I did was a tailoring project for mothers of children with cerebral palsy. We'd been supporting a cerebral palsy home for a while, but realized that mothers in general had to leave their children alone for long periods of time. And children were non-verbal, many were non-verbal, and many were non-mobile. So they'd be left kind of lying down potentially soiling themselves, alone, very vulnerable situation, and mothers would need to go out and look for money. So what we tried to do is put together a cerebral palsy center which offers therapy, and in the same space the mothers are empowered to tailor garments and sell those garments and earn a commission, so they're able to earn money in a safe way while still being with their children and monitoring their health and benefiting from therapy. So that was the first project that we did. And now I also run a kids club at the Gongs dump site and a library and educational center, another e-learning center in Magure as well, which also has a really interesting sustainability program along with it. And we're also doing a transitional home for children rescued from the streets with another partnership as well at the moment, and another tailoring project similar to the one that I spoke about in Dandora, but for children with epilepsy and their families. So that's really where we are today. So it's a plethora of things, but the idea is really trust, sustainability, and genuine impact. So when you give to Charity Connect, we're really going to provide you with receipts, accountability. We know exactly where items have gone, and you're able to visit wherever you've given as well. We provide multiple follow-ups after you've donated to bridge that trust gap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that introduction, which is basically a whole, book of what you do, and we are already inspired by that. Now, you seem to have your plate very full. Now, starting from your kitchen, you said starting from your kitchen, which was in Machakos.
Yeah.
How are you able currently to sustain all these projects? Do you use your own funding? I remember initially you started with your own cash, your own kitchen. Incidentally, for the benefit of the viewers, our club has been a beneficiary of Kavi's generosity. I remember, Kavi, if you remember last year in about around August, we were distributing the hand washing stations. I remember with the PE Mudoni, Tungong, and our cars couldn't manage the terrain, but you donated your 3 cars, you helped us carry the hand washing stations. I remember we distributed food to some women up the hills in Gong. I remember we went to that dump site, the children, the library. After that, I remember we went back to your house, you parked your car with more food, and we went back to, Korogosha or something.
Yeah, for the feeding.
So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for partnering with us even before today. But how do you sustain all that? To me, it sounds too much, even for one organization to do, but here you are one person doing it. How do you do that?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. And that was such a great memory. It's all coming back to me that day. So thank you and Madoni. It was such a great day, I remember. It started off very much a labor of love. And I didn't think about it in terms of, I definitely didn't think about it commercially or practically, I'd say right at the beginning. It was 100% passion. So yes, it was my own resources. The feeding was just something that I was doing. But now we've set up quite formal partnerships. So for example, for the feeding, it's sponsored by Spring Valley Coffee, and they sponsor all of our feedings for the whole year. So for the whole year, we're done in terms of that sponsorship. And then, for example, in terms of transport, we also had a lot of help from Progas, who also donated their trucks to take things around for us for a long period of time. So these partnerships have come to help, to be able to help us sustain. So for Farm to Feed, for example, they donate their truck services, and basically they will drop off their vegetables to that we have 3 different drop-off points, and then initiatives will come to pick up the vegetables and the bananas, etc., that we have also from Twiga on one day in the week, and then they will take them themselves and they will give out to the beneficiaries that we have vetted. I also have an amazing person that works with me called Kevin, who actually was a beneficiary of one of our programs. He's a single father from Madare and was just this amazing bright spark, and we just clicked. And I was just like, I have to give you a job, I have to have you on board. And his salary is my donation. You know, I like to just keep it 100% transparent. So none of the donations that we receive go towards any admin cost, but his salary is, you know, my contribution on a monthly basis. And he every day goes to the different locations where something has been donated, or any of the projects that we're doing. Like currently we're doing, so I forgot to mention, a computer lab at Kiboro Primary School. So he is there every day ensuring exactly what's being done. So he's an amazing runaround person who also helps me, but it's these real trusted relationships that, you know, we help each other out. I'll give my car all the time, anytime, but in the same way, I think you met Peter that day when we went to the dump site and to Gong. He will give me his car when I need it. You know, it's that collaborative environment. Yeah, okay. But for the very regular programs, we have everything sorted, and we have certain partners that take care. So we know that we're not going to let anybody down. You know, they're expecting a meal on Monday, but it doesn't quite happen. We try and we've made sure that we've plugged those gaps. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Actually, what you're doing resonates very well with us because everything you do basically touches on either one of the 7 areas of focus that Rotary is, involved in. And we are happy that you're impacting the society at all levels, the kind of networks you have, they are giving back to the society, albeit very quietly. Now, most of us probably have not heard about Charity Connect. How would someone plug into your charity? How would someone, either an individual or an organization or a society like ours, how would someone, if they wanted to help, how would they plug into your society? Are you on the social media pages? Do you target specific sponsors? How do you do your partnerships?
Yeah, I think in a way, Charity Connect surprised me. I didn't have a huge, I didn't have a vision as such in terms of where it would lead, if I'm honest. I just started cooking one day manically, and it was more like that. It's very much grown from the ground up. So I think to date, I've almost been more responsive than proactive, I guess. I've been so pleasantly surprised and just overjoyed, in fact, at the people that have come forward when they have heard what I've been doing and have said, hey, we really want to give, or in memory of my father, we'd like to do XYZ, or we have a pool for CSR, can you manage that? Well, it's almost like charitable consulting, if I can call it that. Someone will come and say, we have 1 million shillings, like YPO recently said, we have 1 million shillings that we wanted to give. How do we do it in an accountable way, with receipts, with someone on the ground, knowing exactly what happened, especially during a time like COVID when we can't personally go and see what's happening? How can you help us to get to the end user in a genuine way? Because that's what you're doing day in, day out. And so those opportunities have come quite organically. And I do like it that way, because I guess I feel that I don't know, I feel a huge discomfort with asking for support, I think, on a charitable basis. I'll think, someone will think, Kavi's calling, oh no, better get my checkbook out kind of feeling, which for me doesn't breed long-term partnerships or longer-term impact. Someone might give out of, guilt or embarrassment that one time, but I want it to be something that comes from within someone. And I mean, you can find me on social media. You can find me I have a Facebook group, and on Instagram, you can find me, and I try and document in a quite factual way what's being done, and in a way that respects the beneficiaries. So it's not, I really try to avoid that very raw way of portraying someone who is not in the best moment in their life. But I found that organic way of people finding out what you do and really wanting to give, and trusting you and wanting to be part of it, has actually led to these longer term partnerships. But yes, I definitely have been more reactive than proactive, if I'm honest. But I always say impact is impact, and as long as it's genuine impact, I feel that that's the most important thing. I would hate to take on anything that would not lead to genuine. It's a rule. So there are times when I've said, sorry, no, I'm not going to do this, because I wouldn't be able to oversee to the level it needs to be. Yeah.
Okay. And as much as you are doing all that, I'm sure there are some times when you get challenges.
Yes.
would you care to share with us what has been your most challenging time?
Yes.
Do you ever run out of funds? For example,
Yeah.
do you ever run out of funds or food, and yet they expect you to deliver the following day, and then you don't have any? Do you
Yes,
have those kind of challenges?
that did happen actually. That happened with one program. It was the Gawa program, which was a program born of COVID, and it was a partnership with Art Cafe, which was amazing because basically during that period of time, Art Cafe were not utilizing their kitchens. They had all of their staff who had been quarantining, and so they had a very controlled way of producing the food. So we wanted to give hot, nutritious meals to the homeless because at that time it was so difficult to give out meals. It was so difficult to have any gathering of any sort. And you know, all of the traditional ways of giving out food like rice or beans, etc., were not affecting those without a kitchen or without running water, right? Those who were really, really the most vulnerable. They couldn't benefit from those donations. So we wanted to do hot meals. And yes, we ran out of funds with that. Art Cafe charged us unexpectedly as well. I mean, look, I you know, it's all water under the bridge, you know, but Art Cafe had charged us. So that was a tough time because we were giving out a large number of meals on a daily basis. And then all of a sudden Art Cafe, you know, things started picking up. So they said, we need to charge you. And there were, you know, we had to manage that situation. But luckily, you know, I then wrote to a few people like Spring Valley Coffee. There's a couple of family foundations that had also supported me. And I wrote to them and said, this is a situation we're in. Can you help? And we kind of all managed to pull together. But that was really tough. And going to people and saying, actually, from tomorrow, we can't afford this project. During a period like COVID, where people had lost their jobs and were in a dire situation, it was really tough. Yeah, very tough. And also a real lesson for me, maybe to not run before I walk, you know, and to maybe start smaller and grow rather than start with a large number of meals and shrink them. I think that was a huge learning as well. So, and try and make sure that I'm at least 3 to 4 months planned out ahead, especially for a food program, which is an essential program. Yeah.
Okay. So basically it's a full-time job for you now.
It is. I mean, it's not my job. I have my own job, but it's my full-time passion. And definitely, yes. And it's a huge priority for me. I treat it alongside my work, if not more important than my work at times. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And what would you say is your most, how can I put it, memorable experience? What project have you done that has left a lasting impact on you? I remember for me, I was touched by the library at the dump site. How those kids cleared part of the dump site, planted grass, converted it. They even have a clubhouse, you know, an art gallery. That was amazing. For me, that really left an impact. So for you, what would be your most memorable impact?
And Jeff, you know, on that project, we've changed the toilets, we've refurbished a whole indoor area, which is waterproof. We have empowerment workshops going on there. So that is a beautiful project for the kids that usually were just on the dump site, right? Because their parents are working on the dump site. It's such a dangerous place for them. So that 100%, I love that project too. And it continues to be such a source of immense satisfaction for me. I'd say the most memorable moment was, though, opening the e-learning center in Mugure. So it's this library turned e-learning center, and it suddenly came together during COVID. So schools are shut, no internet access, no computer. Kids are just like not learning, right? All our kids, I'm sure, had access to a laptop and online classes and whatever they were doing. These kids were without any of that. And during that period, suddenly e-learning center came up. And we were able to refurbish the whole center. We were able to get computers in there, security, and now to see, I mean, and actually at the time, it was, I think it was a really rainy period, I remember, and we managed to waterproof the whole place, and it was brilliant. And I remember the opening day of that, we had a sustainability project as well, which is basically providing internet to the local area, and the profits from that sustain the library. So we managed to have the e-learning center and library as completely free for the children. So now if you see the things that they're doing there, we have computer programming workshops, we have a little booth there where you can fill in job applications. You can do online applications. Kids are learning how to code. That, I think, for me is something that I would love to replicate. And it really works. The sustainability part of it works. So there's no donations actually involved. It's just this great cycle. So I'd probably say that for me is a huge high point. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kavi. Believe me, we'll be reaching out to you and borrowing some of your blueprints, because some of the projects which you're already running are some of the things probably we as Rotarians, not only in Gigiri, but other clubs too, that we usually do. And to see someone doing it, more or less single-handedly, it is something we'd like to plug in, learn more from you, and of course, partner with the organization going forward. So finally, Kavi, I'll be inviting a few of the members for some questions, but how do you wish to partner with Rotary now that we have officially invited you and we hope to be seeing more of you? How would you want us going forward? What would be your vision about Charity Connect vis-a-vis Rotary?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I guess for me, I would love to partner on one of these projects which have that long-term impact. So I would really see, we have an aligned passion, right? And we have an aligned truth. And everything that you did at the beginning of your meeting and, everything that was said rung so true for me. So I think as individuals with such, with such synergies, I would love to do a project with, giving food, etc., is brilliant, but I would love to build on that and do something which is more concrete potentially. So maybe if it's depending on what the focus is for Rotary for this year, I'm not sure exactly how it works, if it's education or if it's, I don't know, women's empowerment, or if it's, I don't know, menstrual hygiene, whatever the hot topics are, we could think of something which would be, and we could replicate in a few locations, maybe a sustainability project, an empowerment project that could, really run itself. That's the idea. So for Charity Connect, as you said, it's not sustainable to run everything. So the partnerships are so important. So to set up something that's able to be run by someone and an individual on the ground, an initiative on the ground, is really where the strength is. So I'd love to do that with Rotary and brainstorm. And, I think when you come together, you can do so much. So I'd look at a concrete long-term impact project over a few locations, maybe over a few years period. Yeah, that would be a dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted it to come directly from you. And because of that, believe me, we'll be reaching out to you. We are keen on long-term impactful projects, as you're talking about. And I'm sure myself and of course, my club will be reaching out to you to see whether we can have something sustainable, long-term, and impactful going forward. So thank you so much, Kavi, for your time. I want at this point to, PP Lucy, I hope you're on standby for the vote of thanks. PP Lucy, sorry, but at this time, maybe I can open the floor to 1 or 2 questions from the floor. Kavi, I hope you have time to take 2 or 3 questions.
Yeah, no problem, sure.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, members, it's your time now to ask any burning question that was not covered during the presentation. Oh yeah, you can see PP Angie. You may go first, PP Angie. PP Angie, I can see David, President David.
Okay, mine actually is more of a comment than a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I was listening, I was just like, excited seeing how people are doing so much outside there, because literally everything that she has talked about is one of the things that I've always dreamed of. And having somebody who is doing something like that is something that is making me happy, because they understand that heart of giving to somebody, making somebody have whatever they don't have, for you, even it's more of a happiness than the other person, So for me, I really appreciate for whatever you're doing, and you have our support too. In any partnership that we'll do, I'll be always there, and at least to change life and do something for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, President David. Kavi, President David is actually the president of our Rotaract Club of Nairobi. We have the senior club, which is the Rotary, and then we have our youth wing or the Rotaractors. And I'm sure, yes, I'm sure he'll also be reaching out. Any other question? Anybody else with a comment or a question? Great. Now I'll invite PP Lucy to give the vote of thanks, and then we can release our guest.
All right. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Kavita, what you're doing really is it's noble. It's so impactful, because as human beings, one reason why we are satisfied, or when you see someone happy, it's never the money, but it's the feeling they get after impacting a life, right? So you can, and that's why sometimes you wonder, why are people who don't even have money, who even have $1 per day income, smiling happily, and so on and so forth? It's because of the feeling they get when they do what they do, when they impact a life either of their children or their neighbor or whatever. And what you're doing definitely resonates so well with the Rotary, guidelines and what we do, and the project that we carry on. And it would be wonderful to see you more often, and also even to partner more with on more projects. Just like you said, you worked at some time, and Muthoni and the others joined you, and definitely you did a huge piece of work. We are so impressed with what you're able to do with just few resources and just partnering with all these other organizations. And it's something actually we can also learn from you, as Rotary. And if, many hands could be better than one, perhaps, to make much wider and bigger, projects and more impact. Yes, it would be wonderful and great to join hands with you. And it's been wonderful and, listening to you today evening, and you're welcome more. And if you want to be a member, definitely, I'm sure President Jeff has invited you already. Would love to see you more often. Yes, and thank you so much. Yeah, have a good evening.
Okay.
Thank you. And may I just say, I'm so humbled to have been invited to speak. Jeff, thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening and listening to my whole long story. I truly appreciate it. And thank you for all the wonderful work that you guys do as well. And I look forward to partnering in the future. I would be so honored. So I'm so humbled to even have been asked to be here. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Kavi, thank you so much. I have to release you. Keep on, continue being helpful, continue sharing, continue inspiring, continue helping the needy, continue giving, and continue being blessed. We love you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Anju. Thank you to everyone. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you. Best wishes.
Okay, thank you. Well, that was Kavi with Charity Connect. And I believe each and every one of us have been challenged. What she does in a day, I think, is what some of us, we plan to do every year, to go and give out to the needy, maybe once in 3 months or something, maybe during the special occasions like Christmas or something. But here's one woman who is doing it every single day, making 200 meals and distributing. That is something to really be admired and also to challenge us. So I will go back to the program. Remember, we skipped the announcements because we had to release her. Now, back to the club. The committee leaders, the members from the different committees, the directors, if there's any announcement, this is the time. The floor is open for any announcements. The visiting presidents and the visiting Rotarians, you're also free to make announcements at this point. Any announcements from the... Yes, Mr. Anthony, Rotarian Anthony Kinja.
Good evening, fellow Rotarians, invited guests, and our guest of honor. I hope she is still with us.
No, she had to excuse herself. She had to excuse herself.
Yeah, I take this opportunity to greet you from the Environment Committee. It is a committee that is set up to handle our environment, agendas, goals, and objectives. Currently, we are on an ambitious project of planting trees to all our police stations in the country, Kenya.